So anytime I start thinking like I've done a few things, or maybe I'm getting busy, I think about your life, Eddie, and man, you got a hell of a life going, man, and so many cool things. We're gonna try and get into a few of them here, but I want to start with one that's that I just learned about. I want to start with the Pacific Ocean.
Holy mackerel! You're going back, hey, Stevie. You're going back to 1960. You weren't even born yet.
Well, now let's tell people what is the Pacific Ocean?
It's this big body of water that's off the western part of the United States of America. No, what it was is this. I had a rock and roll band, and I started in 1960. Started singing rock and roll. I was a ball player. I used to play baseball, and then I fell in love with rock and roll with Little Richard and all of the Robert Johnson.
And when you were doing, were you the singer, or were you?
Yeah, I was a singer, but I was the worst singer in the band, and I was the lead singer. It was classic. You know.
It happens with bands sometimes, doesn't it?
Yeah, I mean, basically, it was a situation where it was a rock and roll band, and we played a lot. We really played a lot, and it taught me a lot about discipline, determination, perseverance, and patience. Were the key ingredients that I've been able to understand my life through, because I learned it when I was 5 years old. I played baseball every day, 7 days a week. So I had learned to play the game, and I learned that when I got into music, I said, shoot, if I do what I did in baseball, I could do this. I could, you know. So that 10,000 hour thing got into play, and I started to do, just started to do it every day, 7 days a week. And I did it until 1973, 74, and I got to I recorded albums, and we played on the Sunset Strip. We were playing at the Gazzarri's. I played there for 4 years, 7 nights a week.
Wow.
Yeah, so I stayed there for 4 years, thinking, 4 years at one nightclub, playing every single night, never had a break, no Christmas, no New Year's, we worked every night, but we didn't want to do anything else. 1964 through 1968, and those were the heights of the Sunset Strip, singing every night, playing 3 shows a night. But anyway, so rock and roll, Pacific Ocean, drove me as my vehicle from baseball right into performance. And I used to perform when I was on a ball field.
So anyway, I want to talk to you about, so you started the Latin American International Film Festival, right?
Yeah.
We were talking about that a few years ago.
Yeah.
And then that kind of turned into the education thing, right? It kind of, one kind of led to the other?
Yeah. The festival, which started in 1998, then became a component of that. We would bring kids from all over Los Angeles that were along the metro line. The metro people let the kids come on free so they could come to Hollywood.
Oh, nice.
And they would get off right there at the Grauman's Chinese Theater, and that's where we were at the Egyptian and the Grauman's Chinese, and we'd use the El Capitan, those 3 theater screens. So they would come to that area right there, Hollywood and Highland, and they would use the metro, and then they'd get off and they'd come in and work with us and watch the movies. And the schools loved it, because we would bring them in and we would show them films from Latin America and all over the Iberoamerica, which is, Caribbean, Spain, Portugal, Central America, South America, United States, of course. And we would show them movies, but they would be in Spanish with English subtitles, okay? And we would show them, there was grammar school, there were junior high, high schools, and colleges. So each one of those groups would have their own movie that they would watch. And of course, the grammar school kids and the junior high kids, the teachers loved us, because they said, we can't get them to sit down and read for 2 hours. It's really hard to get them to do that. And here they come in here, they sit here for 2 hours, they're watching a movie, and they got to read. If they don't speak Spanish, they got to read the subtitles.
Right.
So that became a real inspirational thing for the schools. And so more and more schools started to come. And so we started a writing program, story program, writing your story and then work on it before the festival. and then we would read them at the film festival. And at that time, it was in September, October. And so they would come from when the school started, and the teachers that were going to bring their kids would have the kids write stories. And then we would read them at the festival. So they were writing and they were telling stories. And so from that, we got into the school systems in 2003. And we started to bring the understanding of the audiovisual event of filmmaking to grammar school kids, fourth graders. And Stevie, nothing has been the same since. 2003 to 2008, it was a process we were trying to learn how to do it. We needed to work on the curriculum and the way to teach it and all that. And then 2008 to 2010, it got to be a little stronger. So 7 years we're in 5 schools. And then all of a sudden, man, 2011, it broke, boom. And then in 2014, I shut down the festival and just carried the student film, the youth cinema project, and brought in filmmakers. I started to bring in filmmakers to help the kids. So we would bring into the classroom 2 professional filmmakers, graduates from the American Film Institute or Chapman or UCLA or SC or, from New York, and all over the country, wherever those students, because they would come here, kids are here trying to make their life inside of the art form of filmmaking, and they're young and they're trying to get ahead. So we would use them, pay them really good money. We'd pay them real good money to come and teach the kids. And so we put 2 filmmakers into the classroom. We had worked the curriculum for about 8 years, 9 years, and really got it solid. Right now we're in 16 school districts with over 1,400 kids per semester.
Great.
And it's not an after-school special. This is all year. And they learn how to learn about story. They learn how to write. They learn how to do pre-production, production, and post-production. They learn marketing. They learn distribution. They learn how to set up their LLCs. We would come in and then say, okay, now stand up, everybody, and then they rearrange the desks into groups, and then they would teach them, the basic fundamentals of story. And then in groups of 6, because there's usually 30 kids per class, they would start to learn how to tell their story. It's like you're writing your song, okay? You start off with a chord, 2 chords, and you start out singing, she loves you, yeah, yeah, yeah. She loves you, yeah.
Oh, we don't have to pay for that.
I know we don't.
It's okay.
That's an old Mexican favorite. Again, oh yeah. But anyway,
were they shooting on? Were they shooting it on shooting stuff on their phones?
They go. Oh, no. We brought in equipment. We have real lights. They learn about how to set up their gaffing. They learn how to gaff. They learn how to set up makeup. They do their casting. They do location scouting. They do all they learn all of that.
Wow.
They learn everything. Each group is making their movies. And what we do, it starts off, again, the first 3 months is about writing. But we only use the first for the first 2 months, they have to write longhand. Not on a computer, longhand, all right? And then they got to read it. It's a synopsis, a story. You got to read your story to them. And it's usually half a page, 2/3 of a page, and they all stand up, and each one of the 6 kids in the group reads a story. From that reading, and they read it to the entire class, and then they go back to their groups. From that, the 6 kids, and this is the key to the whole structure that really put it to a very high level. They learned communication, collaboration, critical thinking, and creativity. Right from the get-go. They were collaborating with one another, and stuff that you can't learn when you're studying social studies, math, English. You don't learn collaboration. You don't learn communication. You use it, but you don't use it with the whole group. So they learned how to do that, and then they learned how to tell a story. So each one of them had to tell a story. That we bring in the two people, and they teach them how to write the story. From writing their story, they end up speaking it. Then they go back to their groups, and they decide which story they want to do as their script. So they have to collaborate amongst the six and talk about which story they think that everybody appreciates and wants to do, and then they all start to write that story. So out of the six, they got to collaborate, communicate with one another, and pick one of the six, and then they end up moving forward with that story and make it into a 5-page script that ends up being about 3 minutes worth of movie making, and they write the script. And all of this is being done with two mentors helping them. They got the teacher there too.
What's great though, Eddie, and what I loved about this when you told me about it a couple of years ago, the same thing we're doing, which is integrating the arts into the education process. It changes the process itself. I mean, of course, we're all interested in the kids learning the arts, which is its own reward for the kids. And of course, we want the arts to be continued anyway, but it's beyond that, because the arts plays on a different part of the brain, and you don't have the pressure of that precision that has to do with the sciences or math. It has to do with imagination and instinct, and emotion, and the things you're talking about, collaboration and communicating in the real world, with real people. We're always trying to tell people we tell the teachers, we got to start teaching in the present tense. Okay, this generation wants something they can use now. They don't tell them learn this now and someday you'll use it. That ain't gonna work for this generation. Give them something they can use right now. And that's exactly what you're doing. Which is so fantastic.
Yeah, all these skills of compromise and collaboration. And, working together, giving a little, taking a little, pushing forth your idea. If you believe in it, that's all stuff you have to use. I don't care what you do for a living. Right. That's all the time. If you're working in a factory, you got to do that just to figure out where you're going to sit.
That's it. That's it.
Drew, when we're doing this, Drew and Stevie, when we're doing this, we are not trying to make filmmakers. Okay. What we're trying to make is lifelong learners.
Mm-hmm.
Yeah. The teachers say, man, when you guys are done with them, they're English. They like studying more. They like they listen better.
I guarantee you right now, you got to be affecting the dropout rate. You got to be, right?
We went in one school system, Stevie, in Santa Ana. Their junior and high school had lost 400 kids. Okay, dropout, going off to parochial schools, private schools, charter schools, and the Santa Ana public school system. We implemented our program in about 2011, 2012. We put it in, and by 2014, 600 kids returned. So they started to come back because they couldn't find this program anywhere else. You had to be inside of that school system. We were into the grammar schools, junior highs, and high schools. And now that chain has been picked up by Chapman University, and Chapman is giving scholarships to the students that go through this program.
Wow.
Full ride scholarships.
Chapman's
and they're not
the best film school in Southern California right now.
Yeah, but guess what? You know what they said to them? They said, you don't have to come, your students don't have to come in here and become filmmakers. They can do anything they want. We want the kind of students that they are, we want those students here.
Wow.
And so we did it. We had crossed into that place where we had touched and affected the children so much. And yeah, I mean, some of them have become, first ADs. They have become directors. They are going into producing, because we've been doing this now long enough so that we're watching the kids go off into college and then graduating from college now too. So we're seeing we're tracking them. We have Stanford University that did an assessment That's one of the best schools for assessment in the world. Their PhD program is just like exquisite, Stanford University's. So they came and they used their students that are in their doctoral program to come in and do the assessments for our program because they had heard about it. So they came in and they started to work with us, and they wrote things that they said to me, and it's in the paperwork. They go, you guys don't even understand what you guys are doing. You have no idea what effect you are having on these students.
How did you get this idea in the first place? Where did this come from?
This came from 1998 when we started screening the films at the Latino International Film Festival. By the way, the Latino International Film Festival came back. We shut it down for 4 years, and then it came back, and it's been going now. This is the 3rd year since we came back now, since we've been there.
Cool.
And this year we were virtual, and we were the first international film festival to go on virtual when COVID hit. So when COVID hit, and then we ended up going right away. And all of our teachers, all of the mentors, our programs quickly got transformed into virtual school processes, and same thing with our whole film festival became virtual and free, so they could see it anywhere in the world, and that really it multiplied the amount of people that were actually visiting.
Fantastic.
Yeah, it was really good. Yeah. So anyway.
Well, I guess we better wrap it up. But thank you so much, Eddie. I know how busy you are, man. I really pleasure, appreciate you doing this for us. And I want to tell everybody about what you've been doing because it's so inspiring and still unique as far as I know. I think you're still the main one. This whole thing was created by you out there, and I hope it spreads, man. We got to make this thing spread around because one of our big things is also increasing the graduation rate. What people don't realize is close to 50% of the kids in the poor neighborhoods are dropping out of high school. Close to 50%, and almost 50% of them end up in the criminal justice system sooner or later. That's just, those percentages are not tolerable. That we should not be tolerating that. And so what you're doing and what we're doing, I think is really important. And I love your whole thing, man. I love it. So thank you.
I love yours too, Steve.
Thank you, man. Thank you.
You've done extraordinary work, Stephen. A really, really committed. You committed yourself to the community, which is really, it's fantastic. People say, "Why did you do that?" And I said, "Well, basically, I got more out of it than they did."
Yeah,
I do.
Yeah.
The feeling that I get from helping others, and it's just like, it's a tremendous sense of self-respect and self-esteem and self-worth. And it's just like unbelievable. The more you give, the more you receive, the more you help, the more people help you. And it just is contagious. And that's what's happened. The community has turned out, and here we are. I'm 74, and I can honestly tell I'm working now more than I worked when I was in my 30s.
Congratulations again, Eddie, and keep doing what you do, baby. And we'll be checking it out.
Hey, you keep working on what you're doing, man. I love you guys. Thank you, Drew. Thank you 1,000 times over.
Love you too, man. Love you too.
Yeah. God bless
Thank
you, buddy. Take care.
All right.
Thank you.